With 2 wins in 3 matches, both Chicago and New York are on fire to start 2025. Chicago stumbled early but have bounced back with consecutive wins. Meanwhile, the Red Bulls have earned points in all 3 of their matches, looking to defend their turf at MSU Soccer Park in Montclair, New Jersey. Hello and welcome, I'm Ryan Lee. Thank you for joining us, and both teams are in great form to start off the season. 2 wins and a loss in their first 3 matches, and there's no sign of slowing down. After a tough 4-1 loss to Huntsville, Chicago has really locked things down, allowing just a goal since, with a clean sheet against Toronto and a win against Cincinnati. Garrison Perez took note of the team's discipline, highlighting on focusing on their strengths while exposing the opposition's weaknesses. Looking to do the same against a Red Bull squad with 2 wins and a PK loss to Philly. After 3 very different results to start the season, Tanner Rossborough noted that the team is ready to win in multiple ways and they're adaptable in tough situations. They look to extinguish the fire with a forward midfielder look that features Julian Hall up top, the player of Match Week 3, getting a goal and an assist against NYC. Mosquera also got a goal in the Hudson River Derby as Audrey Mametti on his 16th birthday gets the start in the midfield on his 10th starts in MLS NEXT Pro, with a goals against average of 1.0 and a 2-0-1 start to the 2025 season. Aiden Stokes returns in net for the New York Red Bulls, looking to keep the streak alive. However, Chicago looked to have similar luck on their own end of things. Claudio Cassano scored a goal against FC Cincinnati, against the top team in the Eastern Conference a year ago. New Jersey native Sam Williams starts in the midfield with Konings and Osorio, and the back 5 remains unchanged with Patrick Los between the pipes across the 3 matches to start the season. He'll do so again in 2025, 2-1-0 with Los in net for the Fire. Making our way towards center pitch with Chicago and New York, 2 sides who have started the season in excellent form in 2025. New York Red Bulls started off with a win against Atlanta, then a PK loss in Philly, and a back-and-forth Hudson River Derby against NYCFC. Chicago Fire started off the gates on the losing end in a massive 4-1 loss against Huntsville. However, they've really cleaned things up in the last couple of matches. A clean sheet against Toronto, only 1 goal conceded against Cincinnati. In their second of a 4-game road trip for the Fire, they look to continue things rolling for them, as both teams are one of only 6 sides who have multiple wins in the Eastern Conference. Red Bulls are in the red. They'll go left to right. Chicago, white and blue from right to left, as we get ready to go here at MSU Soccer Park on the campus of Montclair State University in Montclair, New Jersey, as we start things off with the Red Bulls and the Fire. Ryan Lee and the rest of our MLS NEXT Pro crew here on New Jersey on this Sunday afternoon. We thank you so much for joining us here, where both sides have really put the emphasis on trying to really be adaptable every sense of the word. A lot of different games have really resulted in many different styles of games. You had a shootout, and then you kind of had a grinder against Philadelphia for New York, all coming off of a 1-0 win against Atlanta. And then you had Chicago. They really got blown out against Huntsville after scraping off a game winner in the final 10 minutes at home against Toronto, and having to come back from a goal down against last year's Eastern Conference top seed and FC Cincinnati on the road nonetheless. This is the second road game of 4 straight for the Fire as they go from Cincinnati to New Jersey. A chance for Julian Hall to start the attack as the centering feed is collected by Hall. Left behind, Rojas. Fed into the box, no one available, so it will be taken away by Chicago. As a quick turnaround try for the Fire to attempt the breakout. Here comes Chicago up the seam. It goes for Dean Bolts. Bolts cutting across center, leaves it behind. Claudio Cassano towards net, but easily rolls towards Aiden Stokes for the first save of the match. Cassano got a goal to start off the game against Cincinnati last week. Stokes with the first save and already trying to put things in play. Cassano, he's really work that left side of the wing, likes to cross over into the right quite a bit, a right-footed shot is Cassano, the Italian-born 21-year-old. But his side, Chicago Fire, have to defend against Tanner Rossborough. Attempted cross in the center for Rojas. Off of Rojas, back for Rossborough. Amar Modelo. Rossborough aside, in towards Jarvis. Continuing the cycle is New York, as they just want to possess against Chicago, but the nice defense there by Cassano will only disrupt things only a smidge for New York. A relatively one-sided series between the Bulls and the Fire. If you combine the PK wins, it's 5-1 in favor of New York. Every time New York has been the home team, New York has walked away with points. They've yet to lose in regulation when the Bulls are at home as they try to take over Jarvis. Lays it back Modelo and allows New York to reset as they will regroup. New York Red Bulls in their 10th anniversary season as a second-team program dating back to the USL Championship days. 124 total program wins. If they're able to secure it today, this will be program win number 125 for the New York Red Bulls. And they also have some potential franchise history coming along the way with a potential goal-scoring record in franchise history in danger, but that will come at a later time as Chicago look to build the attack. Onto the far side, crossing center, unable to hit the man in front, looking for Borso. Caught off by Konings. Borso to battle. And it falls right for Hall. Still in play. Not for long, however, as it went off of the wall, so Rojas will take the throw. Rojas got the opening goal for New York on the season against Atlanta. That was a 70th minute goal. Now a chance from distance, has to be punched out by Lowe's. Loose ball in front. Rossborough recovers, looks for options. Rossborough scoops, looks for Jarvis. Back in front, top of the box, bouncer goes. Mosquera gave it a swing. Attempting to come in, Mehmeti on his 16th birthday with the recovery, but will lose the foul against the Fire. Only 4.5 minutes in, we've already seen some of the dynamic offense that both teams are most certainly capable of, considering how these two have combined for so many goals in their last several matchups. As we mentioned, only one win for Chicago against the New York Red Bulls. That came in September of 2024 in a 2-1 match that was in Chicago. However, between the two seasons in MLS Next Pro play, we've seen goal totals of 7, 10, and 9 between the Bulls and the Fire, as Modelo attempted center was interrupted, and it will be carried out by Chicago, not for long, as Stokes will hang on. Modelo to center, too far in front of Rojas. Collected back by Diouf. Williams looking to break out. Elects for Diego Konings, who wears the captain's armband today. And Konings, he's had quite a journey so far in 2025, getting called up to the first team twice. And he actually had quite a tumultuous week in match week 3, where he was with the first team in Montreal, had to bring his passport back across the border so he could join the second team next day in Cincinnati. Good thing for Konings in Chicago. The whole team has been in New York, as that one had to be dived on by Patrick Lose. Mehmeti strips it from Osorio, allows Rojas to buy some space. Jarvis, Rojas, elects for Modelo. New York looking to build. They've had a good chunk of possession in the Chicago end to start off this match so far, but Chicago will dump it out and attempt to break out of their own. Deep ball, held on. Dean Bolts, not for long as it's cut off by the defense of New York Red Bulls 2, but it's held on by Chicago. As the charge up ahead, tangle up in the feet. Sudan can't get loose, and New York will get it out. Diouf takes down his man in order to retain possession so he can lay it back for Chris Cups. Chicago really had a task last week against Cincinnati on the road against the reigning Eastern Conference #1 seed. And a lot of that had to do with what they had to deal with, just understanding they have to deal with so much pressure coming from Cincinnati. They had the go-ahead goal late in that game. That was an own goal by Cincinnati as that cross was attempted, clipped away by O'Connor. Already back in possession of Chicago. Borso could not contribute to keep it in, but Sudan and Borso eventually get it in. Osorio has to get around his man Gutierrez. Out of play in favor of Chicago. A relatively brisk 53-degree day here in New Jersey. Overcast the whole afternoon as a foul against New York will take place towards the far sideline. Mosquera not happy about that one as he had a word with the officials, as this is something that Chicago has done very well throughout the season so far. It's just finding guys open, making sure they take the simple play. You don't have to overcomplicate things too much, but what it does do is make life hard for this Red Bulls defense that has to defend this set piece along that far side as we approach 10 minutes. Elevated, deflected away, still in possession of Chicago as the nice defense was made by Metti on the block. Rojas fights off his man. And Metti eventually contributes to buy New York some breathing room as you have Modelo on the pivot. Couple decisions being made by our officiating crew wearing black today. J.C. Griggs, our center official, with Jessica Carnival and Justin Lopez, the assistant referees. Laszlo Sandler is our fourth official for this afternoon's match. As this one's flipped along to the far side. Last off of Chicago, New York will take over. And for New York, they had to juggle around the lineup the last several weeks because of the number of call-ups that they've had to make, with the first team being battered by injuries. But since the first team has gotten healthier, there has been some more consistency in the lineup as of late for Red Bulls 2. As this one struck on, took a deflection and wide. Adrien Metti gave that one a go in start number 10, looking for goal number 1. As the header just fell beautifully from Metti, and it looked like it went off of his own teammate there as Bolts races. Aiden O'Connor, Juan Gutierrez, and Amar Modelo are the back three for the New York Red Bulls. However, Modelo likes to come up sometimes, so sometimes you might see a somewhat of a back two for New York because of how aggressive they like to play up. Way back, Metti, too far overhead, Modelo. And when we had a conversation with the assistant coach for Chicago, Jerson Perez, he really talked about how the game versus Cincinnati was a lot about responsibility, just making sure that you really stay disciplined, really trying to make sure that you make the mature move when it matters the most, understanding our strengths, both as an individual and as a unit, but also understanding where teams may come up short. And Tanner Rossborough may have a chance to take advantage as he lays back for Modelo. Centering feed, Mehmeti, spinorama try, Jarvis eventually escapes, but not for long as a takedown goes in favor of New York. Cassano and Jarvis are tangled up just outside of the penalty box. It is a chance for New York to strike. Matthew Dos Santos just outside of the penalty area. As we've already seen 3 shots in 13 minutes. Dos Santos ready to work on 4. Dos Santos to net, punch up by Lowe's and in. Lowe's got a touch, didn't get it all. Dos Santos opens the scoring for New York. So the foul here as Jarvis wanted to lay it back for O'Connor, allowed the set piece to go. And then you had Matthew Dos Santos stepping up to the plate for his first goal of the season. Beautifully bent. Lowe's did get a touch on it, but it wasn't enough to keep it out. It got to the back of the net, and Dos Santos, goal number 1 on the season, goal number 1 in MLS Next Pro in his 2nd season. And what a great start here for the New York Red Bulls, as the 2 wins against New York City and against Atlanta both got the ball rolling, with New York getting the first goal on the board. They did so, the lone goal in the game against Atlanta. It was the first of 5 total goals with the Red Bulls and NYCFC in that back and forth shootout over at Sports Illustrated Stadium, just not that far from here. And that's the 3rd game of 4 where New York has struck first. Chicago's question is, how do they respond as Cups elevates it up, bolts, lays it back. Sam Williams, a Tenafly, New Jersey native, only about 17 miles or 30-minute drive east of Montclair State University, where we are today. And this is somewhat of a homecoming for Williams in his first season in MLS Next Pro, after spending the last 3 seasons with the UNC Tar Heels. Was actually part of Red Bulls 2 back in 2022 when they were still in the USL Championship. So not only a homecoming to New Jersey, but against a former squad goes Williams as he attempts to slide it through for Osorio, but interrupted by New York. Jarvis with a pivot, has Rossborough alongside, attempts to go deep, but out of range for Hall. Charging in for Chicago goes Juan Miguel Calle, slips past O'Connor, but not past Jarvis, and allows Mehmeti to start for New York. Hall elevates Rossborough on a full sprint ahead. Tanner Rossborough to center, but Patrick Lose is there. Rossborough has been so dynamic, has really had a great sense of confidence to his game, especially as of late. Who was called up to the USA U17 squad over in California, where he scored a goal in a match against Costa Rica at the tail end of March. One of his teammates on that USA U17 squad is playing today, but not in the starting 11, is Vitaly Halyut of Chicago Fire 2, who also got a goal in that match against Costa Rica as a part of the USA U17s. Chicago up the line. Here goes Borso. Slipping past Gutierrez. Borso fights off Gutierrez, but Gutierrez will win it. But he might have gotten the last touch. No, off of Borso last, so Stokes will send it off. If you go by box score, it has been New York's game to start off. The first 18 minutes of play, about 60% of the possession, out shooting Chicago 5-1 in attempts, 3-1 on shots on net, as Cups will let that one fly, so Los can get the goal kick out. Bit of a tangle up there on that far side. As the feed for Osorio, interrupted by Jarvis. Jarvis has Mosquera. Mosquera keeps it in. Got a goal against NYC last week. Couldn't complete the feed as it was stopped by Williams. Cups with Rossborough in pursuit. And the man down as Mosquero knocks over his man, so Williams will just slide it back over with Peter Sudan on that far side. Cups to Cassano. Cassano tussles with Rossborough. Lametti centers. Jarvis. Sure, he's been dizzy by now. He's been spinning around a lot so far in this game as Stokes will hold on. The interruption made, not for long, by Williams as Lametti reclaims. And a chance for Julian Hall to turn around in the 20th minute. Looking to make the lead 2 for New York. Centering feed, Mosquera settles. Rojas to open. Rojas shoots, that was blocked. Again for Modelo. Modelo comes across, swatted out by Lowe's and poked out by Osorio. And Harold Osorio a little slow after that last clearance. You can see him trying to work on the leg, but a nice block there. First made by Cups on the shot by Rojas. Modelo with the follow-up. Beautiful save by Los and the clear out by Osorio. Nothing really crazy there. He just goes straight down as Harold Osorio, the #2 goal scorer from a season ago for Chicago Fire. He was recently called up to the El Salvador national team midway through March under the new tutelage of El Salvador's new national head coach, Hernan Gomez. And this will be Chase Nagel coming in after we saw Osorio a little slow after that last little clearance, so this will allow the 16-year-old Nagel to come into play for his 4th appearance. This is his first game of the season where he did not start, but only 20 minutes in, it essentially is more or less. As Osorio gets worked on and allows Nagel to make the entry. So it only took 21 minutes for the first substitution to be made by Mike Makovich. Chase Nagel in, Osorio out. And a little bit of an errant pass there by Amar Modelo will come out of play. Where the 20-year-old Panamanian deflected it out so Chicago can take it back. We've We've already seen so far how physical these two are going to go at it pretty much all game long. As we're only 22 minutes in, we've already seen a substitution due to that little injury by Osorio. As Mehmeti wanted to start. Pass was blocked by Nagel. No one able to claim it cleanly. Attempted center for Rossborough, cleared out by Cups. Bolts stepped over the ball, so he trips up, and that allows New York to take advantage. Rossborough from Mehmeti, just out of range, and the throw will be taken by the Fire. And for Chicago, they just really want to focus on the building blocks of the organization with the new tutelage of Mike Makovich and Greg Berhalter taking over in this 2025 season, trying to grow together as a unit, kind of on the fly a little bit, especially in terms of building in each phase, each third of the pitch, just trying to maximize what they can get out of each part of the field. And a lot of that has to do with communication, just making sure they're kind of on the same page, a lot of things, because those things can essentially make or break any portion of the game. As the strip made by Kaye, fed through for Cassano, but cut off by O'Connor. And Stokes sends it up. Overhead Konings. Rojas for Rossborough. And Rossborough's got Hall back for Rossborough. Here goes Tanner Rossborough. Punched out by Los, out of play. Corner number 1 for New York. Rossborough's really exploded with confidence since coming on for the U17s for Team USA. And he really talked about how he's really matured in his game, starting off his tenure with New York Red Bulls 2 at only 15 years of age. Turned 17 in the latter portion of March. And he's really talked about how the biggest turnaround has just been talking about calmness, and how he used to rush things at times. But the calmness has translated with that game-tying goal against Philadelphia. Now he works in the box off the first corner for New York. In-swinger, headed out by Diouf. A race for the ball. Cassano will get the first touch. Dos Santos keeps it into the attacking half and out. Nagel works back for Diouf. Attempted long ball, too far out of range. But a bit of a flub there allows Borso to take over. Borso cuts across. Borso! Held on by Aiden Stokes, who has been so good so far in 2025, only averaging a goal against. As that try by Borso to get his first of the season was unsuccessful after spending last season with Wake Forest, his only season in the NCAA, where he was an ACC all-freshman team with the Deacons. And in the 2024 freshman signee class, he was the #1 overall ranked college signee, was Borso, as he gave that last swing towards Stokes. Nagel. Nagel from distance is wide, out of play. Stokes with a goal kick. Good news for Chicago. They're not letting their opportunities squander, as they're at least attempting it whenever they approach the net of Aiden Stokes, as New York will take over from here. This portion of the match is brought to you by Sports Illustrated Tickets. Chance to cross. Rossborough with Diouf on him. Laid back for Mehmeti. Konings looking for an option. Stripped by Rojas. Loose ball in the box. And Los has to pounce before Rojas can capitalize. A little bit of that communication at play in that last little mashup of Konings and Kaye as Los has to find an option. Bit of a flub from Cups. New York wants a handball. Diouf in a struggle, eventually gets it out of the Chicago end. Centered, Diego Konings. The captain out for Cassano. Kaye. Konings, Cassano couldn't get the touch he wanted, and it gently rolls towards Stokes. Some of the touches like that from Cassano that just did not get the touch that he wanted to force the attack were some of the things that were really points of emphasis for Chicago, trying to make sure that the possessions have maximized their purpose and not trying to squander anything with any little mistakes. Those were some things that really went wrong with them against Huntsville, was just not making the right decision at the right time, and how several of their mistakes in that opener versus Huntsville were either coming off of turnovers or errant passes, and that last pass went awry, so New York can claim on the throw-in. Two corners, a half an hour in, both in favor of the Bulls. An in-swinger for Mosquera, ready to go. Mosquera serves, off the crossbar and out. A race on the far side, Chicago will take it. And it's a sprint and a strip. Mosquera settles, looks for an option. Blocked by Nagel. Returns for Cassano as he makes the switch towards the far side. He's got Borso there, cleaning up his Sudan. Mehmeti taken down, and this will go in favor of New York. Jean-Alpha Diouf getting back up after that last entanglement. The 22-year-old from Senegal making his 19th appearance with Chicago Fire 2 in his second season. As Rojas gets us restarted. The 1-0 lead for New York Red Bulls off the foot of Matthew Dos Santos. But coming on the other way off the foot of Chicago Fire 2, the feed out wide, held on, Bolts. Bodied off by O'Connor as he received the feed from Sudan. And this will be Stokes to take it back. Fought off by Kaye, returns for Cups. And this time it will go against New York. Patrick Lose will take the reception off the feed from Williams. He's got Hall in his face. Gets rid of it. Mehmeti, the interception, allows Rojas to step in. Rojas into the box, attempted cross off of Diouf, and make it 3 for 3 for corners, all in New York's favor. As the last one just barely clipped the crossbar. You've seen Mosquera take the corners from this near side, and both of them on that far end have come off the foot of Amar Modelo. Making his 4th appearance with New York in his first season. All of them starts as he gets ready for his own in-swinger. Modelo headed out by Nagel. You got Jarvis and Modelo. Modelo's service again was looking for O'Connor, as a chance from distance is overhead. This portion of the match is brought to you by Hackensack Meridian Health. Too far for Cassano. Modelo will let it roll. And for New York, only their second home game of the season. However, this is their first game at their traditional home venue here at MSU Soccer Park on the campus of Montclair State University, as their last game, the Hudson River Derby, was played over at Sports Illustrated Stadium, the home of their A-team, formerly known as Red Bull Arena, as they have to defend as Sudan makes the pivot with 10 minutes to go in the opening half. Red Bulls up 1-0. Could they make it 2? Rojas with a juggle, sends it. Rossborough has to collect with 2 fire players on him. Rossborough, Mehmeti, not strong enough, so it will be reclaimed by Chicago as Williams looks for an escape on Mehmeti. Stolen by Rossborough. Mehmeti combined to bring the pressure for New York. Tanner Rossborough. Rafael Mosquera wanted to slide it from Mehmeti, gets it back. Nice little move there by Mosquera to keep it in possession of New York. And the full pitch press by Chicago is forcing New York to play it all the way back for Aiden Stokes as Modelo launches it. Rojas, the only one in the region. Konings the strip, and Los will send. Nice little block there by Diego Konings, the first Atlantic 10 Defensive Player of the Year coming out of St. Louis. As that block allows New York to transition the other direction. Borso works to center, wanted Bolts, blocked away by the Bulls. And Hall comes all the way back. Jarvis and Hall flip and slide for Modelo. Kaye in his face, centers Mehmeti. Hall tangled in front of Konings, and there's some of the defensive pedigree that Konings has had throughout his NCAA career and even the early portions of his MLS career. Only 2 seasons in his pro career for the captain Konings, as he hangs on again, lays it back for Sudan. goes from Mosquera. Rossborough, full steam ahead. Rossborough into the area, shakes off Kaye, centering feed. Hall tangled up, lays it back. Jarvis shoots, he's blocked. Mehmeti from distance over the net. New York Red Bulls have been so good in the offensive third. They've gotten so many attempts as Jarvis and Mehmeti both gave it a go from just outside of the penalty box. Neither of them successful. But it really speaks to the New York Red Bulls not being shy to take their attempts despite having not necessarily the best shooting metrics. Bottom 10 in terms of shots on target, their shooting percentage in terms of how many of their shots end up on frame. But you can't really have those attempts in the first place if you don't at least take those swings to begin with. And with the recent success of some of their guys, like Mosquera and Rojas and Hall all getting goals so far in 2025, it definitely makes that a lot easier for them. Especially against a Chicago team that has also struggled to produce scoring chances of their own. Bottom 10 are the Fire in shot attempts as well, despite being in the top third in terms of their shooting percentage. So with Red Bulls, it's kind of a lot about just taking them whenever you get the opportunities. With Chicago, it's a little more about taking the right chances at the right time. Don't just kind of go for it. They want to maximize everything that they do. It's a lot about efficiency with the Fire as they try to swing this one towards the near side. Konings attempted for Casano. Kaye stripped. Rossborough from Mosquera. And Mosquera has to wait as the numbers come upward. Jarvis, Mehmeti. Red Bulls buying space as they enter the final 5 minutes of the opening half. Mehmeti, Jarvis, steps in, Mosquera, had a chance for Rossborough, but couldn't get the pass through, and there's a chance for Casano to buy some space for Chicago. Two men on the far side, he's got Borso and Bolts. Chicago coming in, Williams comes through, Williams crosses, blocked by Mehmeti, Jarvis on the recovery. The interruption by Kaye keeps possession for Chicago. Not for long, however, as that was just outside of Williams' reach. But the continuous full pitch press for the Fire made that one a little troublesome for New York, but they eventually figure something out when it's all said and done. Deep ball, Hall on the run. Diouf settles for Los. Los goes quick. Chicago wants to counter. Spinorama for Sudan. Stripped away by New York. They've got numbers 3-on-3. Hall, Mosquera with space. Mosquera took a block out of play. Diouf the roadblock. Corner 4 for New York. This was a nice attempt by Chicago in terms of trying to get things going quick. But at the end of the day, New York was ready for it after just a tackle right at center pitch allowed the 3-on-3 on the reversal. Some adjustments made already. We saw Modelo take the last corner on that far side. Now we've got Mosquera stepping in. The 1-goal lead for New York. The corner opportunity is headed through, and Los right off the line after O'Connor got the touch. A nice play here as Aiden O'Connor got just enough of Konings to get free, but Los just off the bottom corner off of the line to keep this a 1-0 game in favor of New York after they were most certainly threatening for 2. Rojas stepping in, gets past his man, taken down. But when it's all said and done, it will be another corner for New York. Five of them in the Red Bulls' favor. And Chicago is yet to muster up 1. Los has had to be so sharp today, dealing with 4 shots on net off of the Red Bulls' 11 attempts. Outswinger, Rojas headed, off of the bar, still in, and eventually cleared by Chicago. Patrick Los got absolutely smacked by that near post when it just barely clipped him. But it was enough to keep the ball out. However, he has to be alert once more. Modelo ready to wind this one up. Jarvis, is it enough for Modelo to come through? Kaye the roadblock. Modelo keeps it in, but out of play. Goal kick, Chicago. This portion of the match is brought to you by Toyota. Headed by Bolts will win extra possession for the Fire as we approach the tail end of the regulation 45. 2 extra minutes on deck in stoppage. Cross to the area, Bolts! Punched out by Stokes! Chicago keep it in play. Turnaround for Williams. Cassano. Scott Borso from distance, overhead. Too much power. And got a man down, that's Juan Kaye. As he got smacked going for the cross feed. Stokes in no rush as we've passed 1 of 2 minutes in stoppage. New York trying to get one last chance to double up on their lead before the intermission. Chicago want to thwart their chances as Rossborough opens up. He's got a lane for Hall. Julian Hall. Lets it go, Roseboro over the net, out of play, but the swings continue for New York. As Tanner Rossborough and Julian Hall, they have been problematic for the Chicago defense. 15 combined shot attempts across New York Red Bulls 2 compared to the 3 shot attempts by Chicago Fire 2. Red Bulls have almost double the amount of shots on net as Chicago does shot attempts. As O'Connor will let this one expire for the first half of play. New York will take the 1-goal lead at the half. And as we take our intermission here at MSU Soccer Park in Montclair, New Jersey, we take a peek of all access from the 2024 MLS Next Pro Finals.
Welcome to the 2024 MLS Next Pro Pick Your Opponent, or PYO as the kids are calling it. To be able to pick your opponent, if you finish at the top of your conference, you should have that right. And we're giving those teams here that exactly. We now turn the page to Philadelphia into who is going to be your selection.
We wanted to pick someone that our fans love to hate and could get behind the game, but unfortunately Red Bull wasn't available for this call, so we went with New York City FC.
The #1 overall seed North Texas would surprise us by not selecting a conventional pick.
Vancouver has been a very good season. They play really well, but we want to try ourselves.
It is time to kick off the 2024 MLS Next Pro playoffs. We start today with the conference quarterfinals in the Eastern Conference.
We welcome you to the Western Conference playoffs in MLS Next Pro.
The Eastern Conference quarterfinals continue.
The stage is set for the postseason. A terrific matchup on hand today.
We return here to MSU Soccer Park here in Montclair, New Jersey. Halftime highlights and stats are coming up at the latter portion of halftime. However, there's a lot to get through first as we get through this week's edition of The Report.
Makina. Wow! What a banger! Arzu to his right. Right, Brandon. Oh my, what a thing of beauty!
Down for Neri! Rodrigo Neri with the brace!
Welcome to this edition of The Report. I'm April Marie Aguilar, coming to you from Chattanooga, Tennessee, where history was made. For the first time ever, two crosstown rivals, Chattanooga FC and the Chattanooga Red Wolves, went head-to-head in the second round of the 2025 U.S. Open Cup. It was a game full of drama and intensity. The first half saw each team score a golazo. From there, it went scoreless through the second half and extra time. The Red Wolves ultimately won it 5-4 on PKs. And although the boys in blue came up just short, it doesn't take away from an incredible, electrifying atmosphere. 12,131 in attendance, the fourth largest crowd in Chattanooga FC history, and the second largest crowd to watch a U.S. Open Cup second round match. And as MLS Next Pro president Charles Alchek told us, it's a kind of experience MLS Next Pro clubs can learn from.
When we were designing the plan for MLS Next Pro, nights like tonight, games like this, rivalry games, local derbies, this is part of our vision, and having our Next Pro teams competing in the U.S. Open Cup is such an important part of that. And I think what's happening here tonight is another example. You know, these players, this game means a lot to these players, means a lot to the fans, to the coaching staff, and to everybody in this community.
And here's how much it means. The players showing their appreciation for the crowd after a match that will be talked about for a long time. March was a busy month in MLS Next Pro with heavy rotations, flex schedules, and clubs having to play more matches than normal due to the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. But one constant, the play from St. Louis City 2, named MLS Next Pro's Team of the Month. City 2 started off by beating defending champion North Texas on the road, followed by back-to-back wins over Sporting KC2, and capping off the month with a shootout win over Austin FC2. They set a new club record by going unbeaten in their first 4 games to start the season.
Collected 11 points out of 12 that have been up for grabs. We've kept clean sheets in every single game so far. We've had several academy guys come into the team, make some starts, get a lot of minutes, and we're really starting to execute the identity that we want to play in. So I've been very happy with March so far. I think being consistent is very, very important. So we want to consistently keep clean sheets. We want to be very good defensively, but for us, just as we grow, we want to be sharper in front of goal. We're creating a lot of good opportunities inside the box, and we're scoring some goals, but we want to continue to build on that and keep putting the ball in the back of the net, scoring goals, and picking up points along the way.
Last year, St. Louis City 2 got off to a slow start and ended up making the Western Conference Final. But this year, they went unbeaten in March and didn't allow a single goal. We'll see if they've put themselves in better shape for the rest of the season. Meanwhile, Diego Gonzalez has been named Player of the Month. Gonzalez scored 2 goals and had 2 assists as Houston Dynamo 2 placed second in the Western Conference at the end of March. Gonzalez also saw time with the first team scoring a goal in a win over El Salvador. Here's his coach, Marcelo Santos.
Diego has a lot of qualities, and he's a very important player for this team. We have a young team. So it's not just the ability for him to make plays and impact the game, but he's also a leader on the team, and it's well deserved, and we're thrilled for him to win this award.
As for the other monthly award winners, we told you how dominant St. Louis City 2 was in March, so it's no surprise that David Critchley has been named Coach of the Month and Colin Welsh is Goaltender of the Month. Yuval Cohen of Inter Miami CF2 is a Rising Star of the Month. He had a brace in a win over Columbus Crew 2. MLS Next Pro is all about the pathway to pro, and as we saw in March, it didn't take long for some MLS Next Pro alumni to make a major impact in Major League Soccer this season. Former MVP Jason Russell Rowe has started every game for Columbus Crew since the season opener, scoring in each of their first 2 games, including the deciding goal in a 1-0 win over New England Revolution. Russell Rowe is already on pace to surpass his MLS career high of 5 goals in a season, set last year. After making 3 appearances for Orlando City SC over the last 2 seasons, Alex Freeman has started all 5 of their games in March, scoring his first 2 MLS goals against Toronto FC and DC United. Freeman also assisted on Orlando's first goal in the win over DC. Antony Oluwaseyi continues to raise his stock with Minnesota United FC. On March 15th, he recorded his first brace in Major League Soccer in a draw against Sporting Kansas City. He became the first Minnesota player to be named MLS Player of the Match Day since 2023. To keep tabs on these and the 160 plus other players who have taken alumni status, go to the all-new alumni page on MLSNextPro.com, where you can check out the latest signings and what former MLS Next Pro players are up to in MLS and around the world.
And one day he's receiving the ball, will you follow him or he'll recover the ball? You understand? But guys, this is the final. You're not playing the final. We play just a normal game. You wanna win this game? You wanna win this game?
And you can check out the full documentary All Access, The Road to MLS Next Pro Cup, now on MLSNextPro.com and the MLS Next Pro YouTube page. What's a monthly wrap-up without some on-field action? Well, we saw this golazo on the first day of this season by Osase de Rosario against Ventura County FC.
Cross whipped in and banked into the goal. And a flash. Tacoma Defiance have tacked on a second.
And that was one of many great goals in the month of March. Here are some more while I enjoy this delicious plate of tailgate food.
Panamanian side for the Panamanian center back. Here they come on the offensive end. Shot rocketed towards goal. And LAFC2 are on the board. Matthew Evans with a ripping strike. Cuts in, gets his left boot on it, and picks out the far post.
In the 19th minute, ball is struck and in! An absolute beauty from Alex Moreno. And Portland is on the board in their season opener. Alex Moreno with an absolute beauty. No one is stopping that. Hashtag bar down. Now Kidd to McKenna. Wow! What a banger! Gabriel McKenna with a masterful shot. And St. Louis goes up by 2. Out of nothing. Gabriel McKenna picks his head up and blasts one top corner.
It's Bassett to take, and what a strike it is! A stunner from Sam Bassett, and it's 1-0 Colorado. Sensational. Nestling in the top corner, no chance for Alfin, and against the grain, Rapids 2 leads.
What can Philadelphia muster up as Coriano and Sullivan stand over it? Evan Sullivan works on 5. Sullivan! Kevin Sullivan off of the set piece, breaks through the barrier, and gives the first goal to Philly Union of the 2025 season. Breakthrough gun of New England gets behind Stokes of the Red Bulls.
We want to remind you that MLS Next Pro will once again be featured at the GA Cup in Florida this year. Orlando City B and Inter Miami 2 will go toe-to-toe in front of many of the future MLS Next Pro stars. Tune in on Tuesday, April 15th at 7 p.m. Eastern on MLS Season Pass. Well, that does it for this edition of The Report. Be sure to tune in to the next episode for the latest around MLS Next Pro. For now, I'm April Marie Aguilar. We'll see you next time.
We return here to MSU Soccer Park in Montclair, New Jersey, as the New York Red Bulls have a 1-0 lead on Chicago Fire 2. Well, a lot has happened despite only a 1-goal game. It's not without its action. As we take a look at the first half highlights, so many shot attempts by New York Red Bulls. They have more shots on net than they do shot attempts. Chicago does. And this is one of those opportunities that New York really wants to capitalize on. It's one of the big early threatening opportunities, and then off of the foul, a nice curler there by Dos Santos, just sneaks it. It was enough for Patrick Lowe's to get a clip on it, but not enough for Lowe's to keep it out. And it didn't stop the Red Bulls from continuing onward, as Modelo has really worked that near sideline well, forced Lowe's to swat that ball out to keep that lead only at 1 for New York. And Tanner Osborough, he's really had some threatening opportunities as well, as he forced Lowe's to make a save on that bottom left corner. And there weren't very many opportunities for Chicago in the opening half. This was one of the few of them, as Borso gave it a go on the left footer before Stokes could hang on. And then just before the end of the half, the outswinging corner was clipped by O'Connor on the header, made its way towards Lowe's. And then Bolts got the touch just in front of Stokes. That was pretty much coincidental between Bolts and Stokes for the potential at equalizer, but it was not there, as a lot of the tape and a lot of the stats have really gone in favor of New York Red Bulls. As we mentioned, the shots on net for New York are greater than the total shot attempts by Chicago. 4 times as many shot attempts by New York. Really shows that they're not shy to just let the thing fly, just give it a go, really test Patrick Lowe's any chance that he gets. 5 corners for New York really helped them out a lot, quite a bit, with the advantage in possession. No one in the book so far through 45 minutes of play, but that does not mean that that's a possibility for the second half. And for Chicago. As you can kind of see by a lot of the metrics, they just have to really try to really get things going in the attacking third. Once they kind of get to that final third, it really has been a bit of a struggle for them to get the proper touch in, to get those passes connected. And they've really had a lot of guys reach for passes that have really gone awry and turned into turnovers. And for New York, I'm sure they're more than content taking a 1-goal lead into the half. As we make our way back onto the pitch for the second half between the Bulls and the Fire, as we are about to start the second set of 45 here at MSU Soccer Park in Montclair, New Jersey. Ryan Lee and the rest of our MLS Next Pro broadcast crew here in New Jersey as the Bulls hold a 1-0 lead on Chicago Fire 2. New York Red Bulls yet to lose in regulation, 2 wins and the PK loss on the road in Philly. Chicago Fire 2 on the other end. Back-to-back wins. I'm sure they would love to, at the very least, make it 3 straight with a potential result in the final 45. As we switch ends of the pitch, Dean Bolt stands over it at center. Chicago, they're in the white and blue. They'll go from left to right for the second half. The Red Bulls are all red, right to left. They go for the second set of 45 as we restart here at MSU Soccer Park. Mosquera, the only turnover into the box, fed to center, wanted to go for Hall, could not do so. Chicago attempts to clear, and eventually Los does. Only a quarter of a minute in, and the Red Bulls are already charging ahead as Rojas recollects. Starts to sprint off, fights off Nagel. Rojas from an angle is overhead. Goal kick for Los. And we haven't had an opportunity to kind of reset everything before New York just kind of came out the gates off and running. We mentioned before in the first half, 3 wins, 1 loss, and 2 draws are New York whenever they face the Chicago Fire. And of those 2 games that went to penalty kicks, both of them were New York wins. So when you get the overall culmination of records, it's 5 wins for New York, 1 win for Chicago, 2 of those coming off of penalties. And we've seen a lot of these games between Fire 2 and Red Bulls 2 turn into absolute shootouts, and this has been another one of those. Maybe not so much on the score sheet, but a lot of it has come in terms of the playmaking department, in terms of the shots on net, the opportunities taken. And New York might have another one on their heels as Dos Santos attempted throw in, gets turned over. And Mehmeti with the last touch, so Chicago will take over as Ryan Lee and the rest of our MLS Next Pro crew are here at Montclair State University at MSU Soccer Park for the second home game for New York Red Bulls 2, their first home game here at MSU. Chicago will continue the possession. No changes made at the half for either Chicago or New York. Only the 1 goal to speak of from Matthew Dos Santos off of the set piece after Aiden Jarvis got fouled just outside of Chicago's penalty box. That came in the 13th minute. And we also had a substitution made by Chicago as well, with Harold Osorio getting dinged up. Chicago looks to double down on their lead with Mehmeti. Elevates Dos Santos all alone. Sudan in pursuit. Centering attempt for Hall, unsuccessful. Borso centers, has an opportunity as Nagel. Casano, he's got a man. Williams, attempted center. Borso! Dylan Borso's first of the season ties this game at 1. This was the counterattack that Chicago's been looking for all game, as you had Borso wide open at the penalty dot. Stokes had no chance, and Borso to equalize for his second goal in MLS Next Pro in season number 3 as a pro for the 18-year-old from Wake Forest. And we have seen these two absolutely fly coming out of the gates. Only 13 minutes into the first half for Dos Santos to get his goal. 4 minutes into the second half for Borso to equalize. And that's only the third shot on frame for Chicago. New York have twice as many shots on net as Chicago does, and 3 times as many shot attempts as the Fire do the Red Bulls. They look to respond as O'Connor with the deflection makes its way towards Rossborough. Rossborough fighting off Cups, not for long as it's Kaye. And just dumped away by Chicago. Chicago did get a result against Cincinnati, that 2-1 win after Chicago conceded early to the reigning #1 seed in the Eastern Conference, Cincinnati, and they look to attack once more. Nagel's got Borso again. Borso to cross, interrupted by Red, and that one comes out of play. A lot of what Chicago's done has just been a lot about trusting each other and trusting the process that Mike Makovich has in place for his squad. A lot of that had to do with the environment that they built around their squad, really trying to keep them together, a very family-like environment. The trust that these guys have in each other, not just as players, but as people as well. And as long as they're willing to get better for each other and just do the right things for one another, Chicago Fire know that they can succeed, as they had the #1 overall seed in the entirety of MLS Next Pro through 2024, right around midway through July. And then they kind of sputtered towards the end of the season, where they fell in the standings to 4th in the Eastern Conference. But they've had a strong start again in 2025, as they want to keep their strong start in their second half, as they got to defend against New York, as they do so successfully. Bolts for Borso, returning for Bolts as he's got space to run. Bolts awaits reinforcements, goes for Borso. Borso elevates, and you had Modelo in the way of that, but not for long, as you got Cassano working. Cassano, Nagel, couldn't get a touch. Still in play as Konings keeps it in. Kaye with the feed. Fire continue to cook. Konings. Kaye steps in, attempted cross for Nagel. Blocked by New York, cleared out. Still in possession as DU slides it across, as Kaye has to race back to prevent Rojas from pursuing. And Cups will get that one away from Julian Hall and into the feet of his goaltender, Patrick Los, instead. Patrick Los really came in on his own a season ago, as he only played in a single match, non-starting in 2023, started in 19 matches a season ago, and has started all 4 matches this year. As he sends it out, O'Connor and New York look to continue possession. Ibrahim Sakagia ready to potentially change some things up, as it's been a rough start to the second half for New York. If you want to compare halves, the first 45 was really a lot of New York. And since the break, it's been a lot of Chicago, as Borso wants to start once more. Borso taken down, foul, Chicago possesses. Slide through, Nagel. Returns for Nagel, has to fight off O'Connor. Is this a point to a spot? No, it's not, as Stokes will take the loose ball. Chicago wanted the foul. They won't get it, as J.C. Griggs will keep the whistle in his pocket. As we just take a look quickly there, Nagel and O'Connor going back and forth. And the last opportunity was dumped out, so Sudan can throw it in. Going into today, Chicago and New York, they were one of only 6 teams to have more than 6 points. As New York looked to attack once more, the centering feed was cut off, up in the air, punched out by Lowe, still up for grabs. No one gets it cleanly. Kaye attempted box out, held in by Jarvis. Popped up in the air, did it go off of a hand? No whistle there, cleared out by the Fire. Out of play near the 4th official, who gets ready for the triple substitution for New York Red Bulls 2 as the MLS Next Pro debut of Benedetti. He will come into play to replace Rafael Mosquera. Ibrahim Kasule comes in as well, as does Steven Serwata. As Nehun Benedetti, the 20-year-old from Argentina. He's on loan from Estudiantes 2 from Argentina. And then you have Steven Serwata, the 22-year-old Ugandan international who made his national team debut earlier in the latter portion of March. And then Ibrahim Kasule, the 21-year-old from Uganda as well, already holds the team record for most goals in a season. He looks to potentially break the mark for most goals in club history. As Benedetti gets ready to take this corner for New York. First of the half. Benedetti, the outswinger, low ball, driven out, rebound chance, flutters out of play as Mehmeti got partial contact. We take a quick opportunity to look at the 2 goals, all coming from that right net. Dos Santos with the curler at the 13th minute of play after the foul. And then you had this nice little counter press with the centering feed towards Borso, wide open to equalize at 1, where we stand right now. 1s across the board, 58 minutes. As Nagel tries to escape Serwata. Serwata the strip. Hall to settle. Hall, Benedetti, centering feed, headed up and over by Rossborough at the 6. This was a nice play here by New York Red Bulls as Rossborough. He was able to buy the space he needed to eventually get that one towards net, but it went over. York utilizing the triple sub at the 57th minute, with Jarvis, Mosquera, and Rojas all taking a seat. Kasule, Benedetti, and Sawada on the entry. However, Chicago continued to force issues for New York as this one slid through for Sam Williams. Williams wanted to center for Nagel. Williams to fight for it. Sawada to settle, and a turnaround try for Kasule. Interrupted. That's a foul against Chicago, enough for the yellow, the first booking of the match for either side. And the yellow card will be flashed towards Dean Bolts. So the yellow card for Dean Bolts at the hour, right on the nose. This portion of the match is brought to you by Sports Illustrated Tickets. Centering feed in front. Rossborough got contact, but not all, as that skims through, and it just barely, oh so barely, touched Juan Miguel Calle, and will test the arms of Amar Modelo. Settling, attempted feed through, couldn't get it through, was Kasule, still up for grabs, out of play, Los with the goal kick. Red Bulls 2 going into match week 4 was one of only 4 teams without a regulation loss in the Eastern Conference, the other ones being Chattanooga FC, New England, and Philly. However, even with the results of the last couple of days, that is still the case. However, Red Bulls 2 are currently being tested. Chattanooga played last night. As this will go all the way towards the Red Bulls area, where they'll retake possession. One final note on that last little bit of the 4 teams undefeated in regulation. New England and Philly do not play this week. Chattanooga, they won their match last night in a 2-0 win versus Orlando, as Red Bulls look to take advantage here. Rossborough to center, he's got Hall on the back post, but Los was there instead. Chicago trying to settle things down. A lot of it has to do with possessing and just trying to get things away from the other team. A lot of what Chicago did so well against Cincinnati was just forcing Cincinnati into mistakes, and they've done that a couple times with New York with the adjustments coming out of the half. And when you have potential attacking opportunities like that just go overhead and don't allow anything more to build on, it definitely makes life a lot easier for Chicago, as they really enjoy hanging on to the ball and just trying to work methodically throughout the pitch and trying to make sure that they don't just take any look, they take the best look. Casano collided with Gutierrez. They went side by side simultaneously on that ball, and Casano took a spill on the New York captain, Juan Gutierrez. And Claudio Casano, he's taken a beating for a good portion of the season because of how well he's able to crisscross from his usual left side of the pitch onto the right. He's taken a quarter of Chicago's fouls. He's one that gets batted up quite a bit, as he had 9 total fouls drawn going into the match today, as that time he was the guilty party. Turnaround try allows Dean Bolts to spring upward. Bolts has O'Connor in his face. O'Connor touches it out. Throw in for Chicago. And we've seen Ibrahim Sakagiyao make some changes in the second half. Could we see Coach Matkovich do the same? His squad continue to attack as the cross is held on. Aiden Stokes with the mitts. This portion of the match is brought to you by Toyota. Hall distributes. As this is fed through, he's got Dos Santos. Dos Santos inward! Los with a stop! Red Bulls continue to possess. Gutierrez up the gut, one at Benedetti. Gutierrez will hang back. Kasule threads it. A chance to settle. Modelo, back post. One at Benedetti, not high enough. Still in possession. Mehmeti for Dos Santos. Wants to go back post again over the heads of Rossborough and Kasule, but still in play as that was attempted to be refed into the box, but eventually Chicago will just buy some breathing room. Ibrahim Kasule 2 goals away from tying the franchise record in goals in New York Red Bulls 2 history. With Brandon Allen back from his time in the USL Championship, Kasule will let that one go for Modelo. Modelo to center, punched out by Sudan, cleared out by Cups. Mehmeti forces Sawada to retreat back. O'Connor forced to step in. Kaye sliding, regardless, offside. And we have a pair of substitutions ready to go for Chicago Fire 2, with Jason Shukaluk and Vitaly Halyut ready to enter the match, as Dylan Borso and Dean Bolts, those two dynamic forwards for Chicago, both take spots on the bench. Borso, the one to get the 1 goal for Chicago Fire 2. Centering feed, Halyut disrupted by Gutierrez, and this is the first corner for Chicago, and it took us 68 minutes to get here before we saw the first corner attempt by the Fire. Claudio Cassano for the corner. Outswinger, Cassano, headed up by New York. Hall steps on the gas. He might have reinforcements. The tackle from behind by Kaye will be a booking. Some disputes either way. That's really a either way call, but at the end of the day, referee's word is official, as Juan Miguel Kaye is the one who goes into the book. And Julian Hall, one of the real bright spots of New York Red Bulls 2, not just on the second team, but on the first team as well, was a player of the week after getting a goal and an assist against NYCFC a week ago in his 3rd season with New York Red Bulls 2, the 17-year-old from Manhattan, down on the pitch as he continues to get looked at. And Hall is part of this dynamic New York Red Bulls attack that has seen 6 different goal scorers, 5 different players with goals going into the weekend. for a mark that is the most different players with goals in the Eastern Conference. Second most in the entirety of MLS Next Pro, trailing only Houston Dynamo 2. As Houston has 7 different goal scorers. Hall is one of 6 for New York. And confidence in Ibrahim Sakagya to keep Hall in the match as he slowly struts his way into position so that O'Connor can restart play. Some of the Red Bulls players were also complaining that Kaye kicked the ball away, so it could have been a second yellow. But regardless, they get it off of the restart. Modelo, Kaye in his face. Modelo, Kasule, nice feed for Sawada. Sawada centers, loose ball in front. No one's there in net. Los is out of position, gets back in. Red Bulls with a chance as that one trickles wide, but held in by Benedetti. Benedetti, Mehmeti, only Diouf on the receiving end as Los will get rid of it. Kasule, a bit of a strip there, little bit of a over touch as that comes out. 20 minutes remain of 90. Rossborough had Kasule there, but just out of reach, but Mehmeti recovers. Kasule leaves it behind. Hall scores! Julian Hall goes in 2 straight, gives New York the 2-1 lead. Julian Hall has been threatening all game long. This is a beautiful back and forth play. Kasule drops it off for Hall as Los just watches that one past his right. And Julian Hall goes in back-to-back in 2025. Gives the Red Bulls the advantage 72 minutes in. And what a feed there as well by Ibrahim Kasule to get on the receiving end of that. He gets his first goal contribution of the season, and Kasule is essentially the fire extinguisher. 6 goals contributions, now make it 7 goal contributions across 7 matches against Chicago Fire 2. That is 5 goals and 2 assists in the 7 matches that he has played against Chicago. That includes the regular season, that includes their 1 match in the playoffs back in 2023. In multiple of those games, Kasule has seen multiple goal contributions. And Kasule was able to feed Hall for the go-ahead as Hull-Ute was offside. So it is official. It's Hall from Kasule at the 72nd. Hall's second of the season. Kasule's first goal contribution of the season. As this one's elevated from Stokes. Out of Chicago's end, but New York able to contain. Throw in New York's favor. Mehmeti has reinforcements. He's got Hall and Benedetti. As it was a little bit too much on that last little entanglement. As Mehmeti gets dropped. And Benedetti will take the stoppage from here. Benedetti, also a member of Argentina's U20 squad, has been contributing on many of these set pieces coming off of the bench. His first game, Benedetti to serve, out by Chicago. Sirwada keeps it in. O'Connor, Sirwada with a swing, blocked in front. O'Connor keeps it alive. Red Bulls hang on. Hall, O'Connor crosses in, headed towards net and trickles towards Los. Benedetti got a touch. Full sprint ahead for Vitalia Hulyut. Gets past Hall. The ball did, not the body, however, as Hall and Hulyut banged into each other. As O'Connor had to think quick as Shukaluk was in his face. Turnaround try, Kasule lays it out for Modelo. Modelo to cross, Benedetti and Sudan are there. Last off Sudan, corner New York. Second of the half, 7th of the game for the Red Bulls. Matthew Dos Santos this time. Corner number 7 for New York. Dos Santos, back post, too high for Kasule, but settled by Rossborough. Rossborough and Modelo with Benedetti on the far side. Stripped away by the Fire. As they'll settle things down and slow things for a little bit. Final 15 minutes between Chicago and New York. As this portion of the match is brought to you by the Hospital for Special Surgery. Centering feed, you got Diouf and Hall. Diouf in there. Diouf to go deep for Claudio Cassano, stripped away. Red Bull is trying to start something, but the pressure for Chicago just a little much at the moment. Allows them to repossess, but the touch goes back towards the Red Bulls. And instead of going upward, Modelo will just eat away at some seconds so Stokes can reclaim. Benedetti towards Dos Santos. Out of play. And this will go Chicago's way. Konings. Back for Hulyut for Konings. Circle around towards the back line as Diouf and Cups find Kaye. Kaye charging in, wants Shukaluk, cut off by O'Connor, throw in Chicago. Sudan, Hulyut. Konings with Hull on him, lays it back for Diouf, who makes the beeline towards Shukaluk. Nagel, rather. Loose ball, Sudan the first one, out of play from Benedetti, so Chicago will reclaim once more. Hulyut's got Nagel. Sudan tried to get the feed, attempting to get it back, but can't do so, as it's just enough for Kasule, and he's got space. Ibrahim Kasule, Julian Hall, flips it for Rossborough. Rossborough cuts in, shoots over the net. And the substitutions come for Chicago. So Sam Williams, the New Jersey native, his night is over, as Bryce Richards, the 18-year-old, who is making his 4th appearance, all of them coming off of the bench. He will do so again, does Richards, as you see him galloping on in his 2nd season with Fire 2. He is 1 game away from double-digit appearances. Today is his 9th with Chicago and MLS Next Pro. He did get the game winner in the 81st minute against Toronto FC to give Chicago that game's 1-0 lead, but it's a chance for Benedetti to flip it. New York blocked in front. Diouf out of play. Corner, New York. So that is 4 subs used by Chicago. New York have used 3 of them thus far. As this one's elevated, scramble in the area, only Hulyut the possession. As Hulyut tries to get past his man Benedetti, the jersey grab by Benedetti will be enough for a yellow card. Hulyut had full steam ahead, but Benedetti got the grasp of the jersey. And that is the first booking against New York in today's match. Deep ball, looking for Cassano, cut off by O'Connor. 7 minutes remain in 90 as Kasule looks to fight. Can't get past Cups. Nagel. Leaves it back, Konings. Konings has been so consistent in the last several seasons with Chicago Fire 2, their captain the whole way through. Attempted turnover, Hull entangled with Konings. And Chicago on the restart. When we spoke to Jason Shukaluk, the Chicago Fire forward, he talked about how these moments are the ones where you show how you continue to battle both for yourself and the guys next to you. Drawing level with Toronto all the way into the 80th plus. A goal down against Cincinnati early on in that match. And 6 minutes remain to tie against New York Red Bulls 2, who have yet to lose in regulation. Only loss was to Philly Union on the road in penalties. Chicago dropped their opener against Huntsville in that 4-1 bludgeoning against the against the Huntsville side. All you in pursuit. Stokes has to be quick with Shukaluk in pursuit. And Hall's been in some fouls as of late, allows Chicago to retain. Cassano up in front. He's got Shukaluk, and he was shooken off by Serwada. Kasule on the turnaround. As Serwada allows Hall to settle things down. Dos Santos with the space he's given. Cross attempted for Kasule. And Kasule just drags down Diouf. Just trying to maybe force something to Kasule to give him one step closer to breaking the New York Red Bulls 2 all-time goal-scoring record. Is Kasule, number 82. 2 away from tying Brandon Allen, 3 from breaking. Kasule an assist on that Hull go-ahead. However, Chicago trying to up the pressure to force the draw. Down 2-1. Distance try, overhead Nagel, and Stokes will come back for it. This is the second of 4 consecutive road games for Chicago Fire 2. They took the win in Cincinnati 2-1, currently down 2-1 against New York Red Bulls 2. And they have trips to Huntsville to potentially redeem their opening night loss before they bring their passports north of the border to play a TFC2 side that they won the first match with, hoping to make it 2 straight against Toronto.
Chase, go to right back. Pizza, go to the middle. Peter, right wing when we can. Not now, when we can.
Mehmeti wanted to go for Hall. You see Hall still limping a little bit after that foul just a couple of minutes ago, right around the 70-minute mark. As Rossborough gets the flick towards Serwada, but only Kaye's there, scoops it out, and it looks like this will be the opportunity for some fresh bodies to come for Ibrahim Sakagya. Jair Colahuaso coming in as Tanner Rossborough will be done for the night. And for New York, a very interesting move here with Rossborough, more of a forward presence, playing in the midfield today with Colahuaso very much a back. As it's a loose ball, Kasule got bumped out by Konings, and this will be another New York corner. New York severely getting the upper hand in terms of chances from the corner, 9-1 now. And when you still look at some of their other numerals, they have more than double the shots on net as the Fire do the Red Bulls, and nearly 6 times as many shot attempts. As this is attempted towards net, settle down, Kasule scores! Ibrahim Kasule makes it 3-1 New York, and 1 away from the all-time record in franchise goals. Beautiful corner. Dos Santos after the deflection made in front. Kasule off of the volley. And Kasule, the Chicago Fire extinguisher. 2 goal contributions off of the bench on the board. 3-1 for New York. Kasule give him a goal after the assist on Hall's goal, and that puts him at 8 goal contributions in 7 matches against Chicago. Ibrahim Kasule, what an addition off of the bench. If he somehow musters up one more in the last several seconds plus stoppage, it will tie him for the all-time record in New York Red Bulls 2 goals. But now Chicago looking for a goal themselves. Halyut with a try. He gets blocked. No chance there as he's denied. Out of play, New York get it, but Chicago are back on as Konings reverses. 5 minutes of stoppage for Chicago to potentially dig in. Sudan, attempted send through for Shukaluk. Sudan can't get it through. Held on. Cassano scores! Within 1, Claudio Cassano. But the whistle goes. It's enough for Cassano to get the goal. It's 3-2 Chicago as they rush back in stoppage time. What a play here as Chicago did not give up, and Cassano strikes post in as New York was the ones protesting. But Cassano gets it to go anyways, and there's 4 more minutes of life for Chicago after Cassano strikes in back-to-back. Just when it looked like New York was in the clear, Chicago makes things interesting in stoppage time. Cassano's got goals in back-to-back. He is a top 5 contributor in terms of shots on net, so he is more than able to make any opportunity dangerous anytime it comes, as Cassano gets number 2 for Chicago. If you look at pretty much most of the numerical metrics, you would see that this is very much dominated by New York, but the defense that Chicago has exhibited throughout this game so far at points has made New York's life difficult. More shots on net than Chicago does shots attempted. Twice as doubled up on the shots on net. 4 times as many shot attempts, twice as many shots on net. A lot of the picture of what New York has done and just overwhelming Patrick Lose and the back line. But Chicago still have life with about 3 minutes left to go. Kasule unassisted at the 89th, and Cassano from Sudan at the 90+1. Gutierrez in 0 rush to get this one off. Only 1 yellow on the pitch for New York that was given to Benedetti. As this one is sent deep, Benedetti and Lose. Lose is conflicted. Benedetti settles, sent it towards net, but just wide. Imagine if that one had gone in, but Patrick Lose goes quick. They say that Lose was working on the rolling ball, didn't completely settle. As that was a slow pass, so that allowed Hall to disrupt things, as Chicago only have a minute and a half to work with. The added defensive presence of Jair Colahuaso could definitely make that interesting for Ibrahim Sakagia's side. As Dos Santos and Sudan are stuck on each other. There's no clear indication on who gets possession. It's going to be Chicago. And Cup's telling his men to go deep. Hangs on, attempted to thread through, still alive. Hall, stopped by Konings. It's Cups, Nagel. Goes back to Cups. Deep try, Stokes. Gets it up and cleanly. As we have one final chance to maybe extend Chicago's lifeline of time. It's the substitution for Julian Hall. He was clipped up a little bit earlier, so that gives him a rest for the remainder of the match, as Christian Gallagher will come in for his third appearance in MLS Next Pro. And the substitution could actually buy Chicago a little bit of extra time as they're ready for the throw-in. Chucks it back for Cups. Final minutes for Chicago. This is likely their last gasp. Headed up by Kaye, cleared out by New York. Attempting to keep it in. Here goes Sawada. Kasule and Gallagher in tight, but doesn't matter because that'll do it. It expires the clock in New York as they finish this one off with a 3-2 win against Chicago to keep them unbeaten in regulation play. 3-0-1 to start 2025. As we get ready for our man of the match, Ibrahim Kasule. He had a goal and an assist today. Got an assist on the Hull goal that made it 2-1. And off of the corner from Dos Santos, got a chance to settle and fired off the volley was Kasule. And for Ibrahim Kasule, he is one goal away from tying Brandon Allen's mark for the most goals in New York Red Bulls 2 history, 2 away from beating it. And that goal is definitely a way to get within 1 in style for a man of the match nomination for Ibrahim Kasule. Well, that'll do it for us and our entire crew here at MSU Soccer Park in Montclair, New Jersey. Don't forget to watch the MLS Next Pro all season long on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV and MLSNextPro.com. It's 3-2, New York beats Chicago. For our entire crew, I'm Ryan Lee. Thanks for joining us. Have a great rest of your night.
This copyrighted broadcast of Major League Soccer may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of Major League Soccer.